Today we're going to talk about the Harvard Classics, the 5-foot shelf of knowledge covering 2,000 years. Well, what's it like to read them? The set I have was published in 1914, and yes, it shows. Now, this is not the original set. The original version was put out in 1909 by the then president of Harvard. And the aim of the book was to provide a college-level education, or perhaps a fuller education on the way to college, for those people who stopped after high school, to those who perhaps stopped after the 8th grade because they had to go to work to support the family. Which is not entirely a bad thing, but it does cut into your educational efforts, one has to say. It's very hard to deal with real life, a full-time job, and get an education at the same time. But if you had diligently stuck with it, apparently with the books, you would gain enough knowledge to be able to keep up with all the college kids. Well, I don't know if that's strictly true nowadays, but it can't hurt. So you start to read the books. You get the volume number 1, and you start reading all the introductions, read the plan, read everything else. You grab the last book, which is the index, to see whether or not any of the terms you know, or anything you're interested in, where it's hidden, so you can go and read up on it. They try to keep up. The current one that's offered for sale, I believe, is up to 71 books now. And it's quite an extensive range of books. However, for a pretty hefty entrance fee, but for a modest re-up afterwards on an annual basis, something like $35 on an annual basis, you have access to it on your e-reader, the Loeb Library, and the Harvard Classics. So you get everything from ancient Greeks all the way up to the present day, as much as can be verified. So, if you can find a set in some clean out of some relative's house, keep it. But you may, if you're thinking of acquiring these books, you may want to get a subscription to the online versions. Translate into English, don't worry. You'll have the Greek on one side and the English on the other. So that's how it works on those. Very easy to read, very easy to use. You get all the authors listed alphabetically, so know who you're looking for. In any case, I have found that some of the earlier versions are difficult to read because, well, let's say the 1914 version was rather jingoist. Can I use that word? Very much pro-Christian. But what can one expect of Harvard? The original purpose of Harvard was to train ministers. Yes, it was. It began as a seminary. So, yeah. Got to have that strong moral ethic if you're a Puritan. However, I bet if you get a more current version, that it's kind of toned down a bit. They also have various other sets covering science, covering literature, art, music, philosophy, all the subjects. So if you want a specific, specialized version, I'm sure they'll be available as well. The hardest thing I found is in reading them is at one point the spelling of English was not standardized. And you're looking at these conglomerations of English letters going, could that be this? Or is it that? I mean, you basically have to rely upon contextual clues at certain points. But it gets tiring after a while. Especially if you do your reading at night when the kids are in bed and the house is quiet and you want to take a couple of hours to yourself in the dark with unequal lighting on the page. So yeah, they say read a book before you go to bed so you can calm down and relax. But when they're busy wrestling with some of the rather more old-fashioned spellings of English, it really gets tiring. And you go, oh, where's Pat the Bunny? I encourage everyone to at least consider exercising their brain a bit by reading Montesquieu. Because once you've read Montesquieu, you ain't got no time for Marjorie Taylor Greene and those of her ilk. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps. And please do come again.